Welcome. Welcome everyone. My name is Meredith. I'm one of the academic advisors here on today's workshop. I'm so excited to see you all here. My name is Meredith. Let me introduce myself. I'm one of the academic advisors at Woodsworth College, and this is a very exciting workshop. First of all, because it's our first workshop for this session. And we're all excited because we get to welcome you to the University of Toronto. We get to congratulate you all for being admitted, and we get to talk a little bit about the university in general and what you can expect. So today's workshop, I am joined with some really exciting people. We have Paola from the Writing Centre. We have Alexa from Accessibility Services and Manjot from Arrive Ready. So we're going to have the opportunity to talk to all of them, but I'm also joined with other academic advisors. We have Duran, Jennifer, Sam, and my colleague Natasha. Yes, thank you so much for saying hello, everyone. So yeah, the point of these workshops, so just to give you a heads up, we're going to have workshops throughout the summer. And the whole idea is because no matter where we're at, so you've all proven yourself, you're all here, you're going to be admitted, you are admitted to University of Toronto, but no matter what the case, we're all probably coming into a new learning environment. So there will be a certain transition. And so the point of these workshops is just to get to know the university a little bit more. The more familiar we are with the institution, the more familiar we are with the services and the people who are here behind it all. We get to introduce you and you'll be able to get a little bit more familiar. So we're going to have workshops. We're going to have one on degrees. So about the degree itself, what are big picture goals. We're going to have one on course selection right before course selection takes place. We're going to have another one on finances and then also one on how to prepare with wellness in mind at the end. So I hope you're along for all of it. The way these usually structure are we talk about for 45 minutes and then we join for Q&A. And I think that Q&A piece is what's really special about these workshops. Not only do you get the opportunity to ask your questions, and there's going to be different questions now versus June versus July versus August. So you're going to be able to have these opportunities to ask your questions, but we're also going to learn from each other. We're going to be able to hear what other people. So let me get started with today before I start talking to our guests, because that's what's making this workshop also really exciting. I just want to quickly explain what Woodsworth College is and what the Registrar office is. So I work at the Registrar office, so does Duran, Jennifer, Sam, and Natasha here. And so first of all, let's explain what Woodsworth is. You might be like, Woodsworth College, I thought I was at a university. Well, you are, don't worry. You've been admitted to the University of Toronto, but also within the Faculty of Arts and Science. And so that Woodsworth College comes in is because the faculty is so large. And so to have a closer connection, to have community, the university has separated the Faculty of Arts and Science into different colleges. And so that's why you're here with us at Woodsworth College. And so what I would like to do is just invite you to think about Woodsworth as your home base. This is where you can go for your first stop for information. If you're looking for resources, sometimes it's hard just to find where to go for resources. You can always just connect with us. So we're happy to answer your emails, but we can also meet with you for one-on-one academic or financial advising. And we might meet once, we might meet two, or we might have a few different check-ins throughout the whole semester. And that's perfectly fine. It's whatever you want. Just know that we are here to answer your questions, okay? The other thing is, so Woodsworth College, we have two different departments. So this is the registrar office. This is where we can talk about anything academic. Oftentimes conversations outside of academics do come into our conversation, and that's great. Just because all kinds of aspects of life impact academics. So we welcome those conversations and whatnot. But there is a department, the Office of Dean of Students, and they also work within Woodsworth College, and they deal with non-academic things. And they're the ones that really help foster that community, that that identity of being a Woodsworth student. So let me take a quick moment and share with you some things. So for instance, they have events that take place. So something to look forward to is if there's going to be events primarily for Woodsworth students that you can be part of. There's a choir you can be part of, but then there's also mentorship opportunities. And so again, before I get into things, I'll just flag that anytime that you see the word mentorship, it's good to flag because mentorships connect you with different people who may be in different, like for instance, I even have mentors in my career. So anytime you have the opportunity to have a mentor, I would definitely highlight that. Connect with them if you can, because they can give really valuable information. And so there's this summer e-mentorship as well within Woodsworth that you'll all automatically be part of. And so it's a way to connect with upper year students and get orientation resources, meet online. There's going to be some really great social events. But you know, I've talked long enough. I now want to get into the exciting part of today's session. So I'm going to welcome Paola, Alexa, and Manjot now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And so yeah, let me turn it over to you. So let's start with introducing ourselves. So Paula, if you could just share your name, your title, and a little bit about what you do at the university, that would be great.
Absolutely, Meredith. Welcome, everyone. So my name is Paola Workes. I am a professor here at Woodsworth, specialized in writing and composition. I teach in the academic bridging program. I also teach a couple of first-year seminars for first-year students. And I also teach in the digital humanities program. And mostly I'm here in my capacity as director of the Academic Writing Center.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Alexa, if I can introduce you.
Yeah, thanks. So hi, everyone. My name is Alexa Kirkland. My pronouns are she, her, and I am one of the on-location accessibility advisors at Woodsworth College. So there's two of us that work with students registered with accessibility services. My colleague, Leanna Shade, is not here today, but she also supports students registered with accessibility services. So we support students with disabilities to receive academic accommodation so that they can have access to their studies barrier-free, providing them with the same opportunities as their peers. I will say too, some students don't identify with the word disability, and that's okay. You don't have to use the word disability to describe your experience. There could be many reasons why you register with accessibility services. So we support students who might have a mental health related diagnosis, maybe learning disabilities, ASD, ADHD, chronic health impacts. So I'll share more today. I know there's a lot of information from our office, and I'll make sure to share some links in the chat. You're welcome to chat with our team directly, especially if there are more personal questions you have or you're not too sure about documentation. So I'll make sure everyone gets the contact information for our central accessibility office as well.
Thank you, Alexa. Thank you. And Manjot.
Thanks, Meredith. Hi, everyone. So excited to meet you all. My name is Manjot. I also use she, her pronouns, and I work with the faculty registrar's office. So like Meredith mentioned, each of the colleges has a registrar's office, and then centrally in arts and science, there's also a registrar's office. And a lot of the work we do complements each other. So when I share a little bit later, you'll see some of the pieces in the program that we run, Arrive Ready, are really in parallel and complement what's happening at Woodsworth College. Specifically within the registrar's office, I work on our student success team. So a big part of my whole role is programming that we run to help you feel successful during your degree here as an arts and science student. And really, we may throw a lot of terms at you. I know the faculty is a big place, but the Sydney Smith Commons is both an online and on-campus space that we run a lot of our programming out of, and all the programming that I manage. I'm just dropping the link in the chat for folks that want to explore. So during today's session, I'm here to focus mainly on Arrive Ready, which is a program for our incoming students, but the SSC offers quite a bit of programming that you can explore. I also wanted to share that website link because there is a little live chat that is monitored by our upper year student staff. So there's a real person, it's an upper year student, it's gone through what you've gone through, that can help answer some of your questions about the resources I might. Okay. Perfect. Thank you for sharing. Oh, I think you're just on mute.
I am. Thank you so much.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm so glad that you mentioned Sydney Smith Commons. This is something that us academic advisors use. So we find it really useful, and if we find, I'm sure all of you will too. I just want to highlight it as an excellent tool. There's some really great things. We're going to talk about Arrive Ready. But there's also the program toolkit, recognize study groups, and here is the chat that Manjot was referring to. So thank you so much. Yeah, we can talk more about this as well. But again, we'll keep it to us for the time being. So the next question I have is just like, in what situations would students come see you? So I guess, Manjot, if I can turn it to you, only because Arrive Ready is a program versus like maybe an appointment, but maybe if you can discuss like why students might be going to Arrive Ready throughout the summer.
Yeah, great question. One of the, I think, great things about Arrive Ready, but also it's a little bit different, is we actually come to you. So our Arrive Ready team is a group of about 20 upper year students. And so each of you folks will be matched with one of those mentors based on your admission category. So whichever academic stream you're coming in, whether that's life sciences, social sciences, humanities. And so they email you every 2 weeks. Our first email is actually queued up to go out tomorrow. So you all, if you are here, keep an eye on your inbox. You will hear from your mentor within the day. And then they keep in touch every 2 weeks throughout the summer to just share any reminders about important deadlines, to respond to any questions you might have. So similar to the Woodsworth E-Mentorship programs, you have a couple options for upper year students that you can talk to about what was their experience getting ready for university, choosing their courses, where are the best places to go, to get food, really anything that you want to talk about in that way. And then you will also be added when you're invited tomorrow to the program to our Quarkus shell. So Quarkus is our learning management website. All your classes are hosted there. So part of Arrive Ready is we want you to get used to that space. And so really the program comes to you and it's up to you to decide how you want to engage. So speaking with our mentors, I'll get into it a little bit later in today's session, what that can look like. But it's just keeping in touch throughout the summer in the ways that work best for you. And we'll continue to reach out consistently your way as well.
Great, thank you so much. Paola, if you can talk on about why would students come chat with you throughout the semester?
Perhaps I should speak a little bit more about the Writing Center before I move to that, to your question. I'm very biased, and I would say that the Writing Center is one of the most important academic resources that you have here at Woodsworth. The way that, like you may, most of the assessments that will happen in your courses, the way that you are evaluated as a student happens through written assignments. But at U of T, we do not have a specific writing instruction. You would not get a course in academic writing because we function through a different model, which is that you're going to learn to write as you are taking your academic courses in particular disciplines. And so the Writing Center is really a very important space for developing your writing skills in close communication with one of our wonderful Writing Center instructors. So the idea is that you would, book appointments or book an appointment with a writing instructor, perhaps in time, develop a relationship with one Writing Center instructor. And like as you are taking your courses, continue to hone and improve your academic writing skills. No one is good at academic writing when they arrive to university. It's not a skill that you're expected to have in advance. It's a skill that you're expected to develop alongside your formation in particular disciplines. And so it's really, really important that you put the Writing Center in your agenda very early on. We offer in-person appointments, online synchronous appointments, and also the opportunity for you to, for example, submit a draft of an assignment, and a writing instructor will give you written feedback. So we have various modalities of engagement in the Writing Center, and the idea is to facilitate students, attending their appointments often. One appointment every 15 days, I think it's ideal, to really work on the, the process of honing in your writing skills. I should also mention that we'll have early in September an event hosted by the Writing Center that is called Jumpstart. And so please be attentive to news about the dates and the agenda for the day. And sorry, Meredith, you asked in which occasions I would. Okay, so I see students in the Writing Center, but I also typically see students who are transitioning from academic bridging to their first year university studies. I also see students that want to kind of like get some information about their vocational directions and how is it that their choice of discipline is shaping up during the first year. And so that's one of the things that I like to do the most, to kind of like assist the students in defining their academic futures.
Brilliant, thank you. I love the Writing Center mostly because I think it's incorrectly, like a lot of students may only reach out when they're in crisis or when they're like, oh, but I often find a really helpful thing to keep in mind is that some students come to me asking to increase their GPA, and I immediately think, okay, even though you are getting some good marks with in your courses, a Writing Center is one way that you really can bump up your GPA because it's really connected to that assessment piece, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what you said, coming in, like some students think that they need to bring a very completed draft of an assignment to have an appointment at the Writing Center. You could just bring your assignment instructions, and discuss with the Writing Center how is it that you're going to approach that assignment from the very beginning, like brainstorming. So it's very flexible, precisely because it is a learning space. And again, I should repeat that no one is expecting you to have already these skills. The expectation is that you'll develop these skills or you are moving forward in your program of study.
Brilliant. Thank you, Paola. Alexa, I'm going to transition to you. So, why would students come to you? If you can talk about that.
Definitely. So I'll talk a bit about registration with our office as well, because I know that's a big question that students have. There are many accessibility advisors that work at U of T, so you might be assigned to work with me if you register with our office. And in those appointments with students, we'll talk about your medical documentation, your experience, because self-report is really important as well. And then we take all of that information and we implement an accommodation plan. So we provide support with class accommodations, test and exam accommodations, accommodation for some practicums related to courses and programs. So lots of ways our office can help, but I think sometimes students are confused and aren't sure if they can register with our office. So many students might have had an IEP. Maybe they received accommodation in high school. Accommodation plans in high school, like IEPs, they don't transfer automatically to the university system. And accommodations aren't applied in the exact same way as IEPs either. So if you do have an IEP, if you had accommodation in high school, it would be really helpful and important to register with our office. Even if you're not sure if you'll use your accommodation or not, I think it's important to get connected with our office early. We can answer some questions, get an accommodation plan in place for you so that if you need to use them, it's already set up. All our accommodations are opt-in, so you don't have to use them if you don't want to. Because we receive such a high volume of requests at different times of the year, that's why we recommend that you connect with our office early. And I was talking a little bit about the different disability types. The highest percentage of students registered with our office have a mental health related diagnosis. So depression, anxiety disorders, OCD, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia. We support students with, it could be chronic symptoms that you're experiencing or more episodic, like there might be periods of time when you're not as impacted and you don't need accommodation, but there might be times in the term or the year where you have a flare-up of symptoms and need more support. So if you're ever not sure, our office is happy to consult with you and answer questions. So what I'll say is, and maybe what I'll do actually, so I don't forget, I'll put the link to our webpage in the chat. And then I'm also going to post a link to documentation requirements. Okay. So there are 3 steps to register with our office. Step 1 is gathering documentation from a licensed healthcare provider or practitioner, someone who knows you well, or someone who made the diagnosis and can fill out the information. What's important for our office, like yes, diagnosis is important and important to many people, but it's not just the diagnosis. Our office really needs to understand the functional impacts of your disability because we individualize accommodation for you. What I'll say as well is that you're not required to put a mental health related diagnosis on the documentation. You can maintain your privacy if you want in that regard. We just need to understand the functional impacts. The link that shares the documentation requirements, that will be helpful to review just because it goes through different pieces of documentation that could be helpful depending on why you're registering with our office. So for students who may have had a psychoeducational assessment when they were a lot younger, you may need to get an updated assessment. Please send our office anything you have. That would be really helpful supplemental documentation, and we can start with accommodation on an interim basis while you're getting some updated documentation. At the university level, we really have to understand assessment scores that are done with adult norms rather than child norms. So that's why updated assessments are important. If it's a psychoeducational assessment, you can submit a report within the last 5 years or at the age of 18. And again, if you have questions before getting something updated, please connect with our office. We also don't want the cost of an assessment to be a barrier to a student who's trying to seek accommodation. So please contact our central office for any questions or concerns. And as you're gathering documentation, you might feel like you're a bit stuck and waiting to start the registration process. You can always start with step 2 on our webpage. And thank you, Meredith, for scrolling through and sharing the screen. Step 2 is our student intake form. It is solely your self-report of your experiences. So there is no one right answer to any of the questions. Share your experience. Not all the questions may apply, so you don't have to feel like you have to fill out all the form. It's quite a long form. Anything that you think might be helpful for us to know, please share. And then that's also a way that we can kind of start your file and start communicating with you about questions. You can also contact our central office directly by email or phone, or come visit us in person if you have any questions about documentation requirements as well. So once you receive documentation and your student self-report, that's when you get an appointment with an accessibility advisor. So it could be me or another advisor on campus. That's where we go over all the information in an hour-long meeting with you, and we start putting in some accommodations and sharing more about how you can use them on campus. So yeah, I just thought, I know that was a lot of information, but I just wanted to highlight that, ways you can register, but also just contact our central office. And maybe what I'll do is I'll put our central office's contact information in the chat as well. So that's easily accessible. And I'll say for anybody online who might be watching this webinar in the future, please check our website for updated links and information, as it could change over time. So thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. No, it is a lot of information. And I think that is like primarily the reason to start thinking about things right now, because getting registered is one of those things where it can take quite a bit of steps, especially, but it is so important with accessibility services. Again, just having that safety net, whether or not you use it or not, getting set up ahead of time, you just don't want to manage that while you're being a student. So thank you, Alexa. Thank you for going through that. It was super helpful. All right, with that, let's go back to Arrive Ready. So Manjot. So again, with talking about Arrive Ready, we've talked about the mentorship, we've talked about being admitted to the Quercus page, the Quercus course and whatnot. So how often should, like when thinking about Arrive Ready, like what is the time commitment, or what should students expect when it comes to, like, will they be talking to faculty, or like, what would it be like attending these?
Yeah, great question. Do you mind if I share my screen? 'Cause I think visuals can help.
Yes, please go ahead. I would love that.
Even for myself, I find it useful to be able to see. So just gonna check and see. Can folks see my screen? Perfect. So this is the same website I shared earlier. And if you click through to the Arrive Ready site, there's kind of three big components to the program for how often to check in or ways that you can engage. So one is that peer mentorship. I like this page because you can actually see the pictures of all our mentors and a little bit about them. And so email is one way you can connect with folks. You can book a 30-minute one-on-one appointment at any point throughout the summer. So a big premise of Arrive Ready is you kind of engage on your own time as you like. We are here from end of May right through to the end of August. And so we can meet one-on-one, like I said, you can chat via email. And then the other component that we have is our first year planning webinars. So very similar to these workshops. Jumped to different page. This is a real-time sharing, so I like the front page here. First year planning webinars. Every week we have an hour-long session, again, by your academic admission category with your upper year peer mentors. So you can find these on this page as well as the Quercus shell. And so you can drop into as many or a few of those as you want. And depending on which topics resonate with you, we cover everything from next week. We'll be doing Welcome to Arrive Ready. You can get a whole crash course from our upper year peer mentors on what to expect for the summer, but also for getting ready to arrive, finances and on-campus employment. We talk about first year opportunities like the first year learning communities. July, we will also talk about course enrollment. Come full circle, we'll be inviting folks from all the colleges to our webinars to come talk about what you need to know about for those pieces. So you can come in for those sessions as you like. They are also recorded, and there's always a little bit of time in breakout rooms for you to also meet other incoming first year students. And then the final pillar of Arrive Ready is these learning modules. And so these come out in late July. So course enrollment is July 17th, I believe this year, but third week of July. Once you're in your classes, this last part of Arrive Ready is like, okay, so how do you prepare for those classes? And we have a few different topics, including how to effectively write. What are the resources on campus that exist to support you with that? Effective reading strategies, getting ready for first year math, things like that. And those are all created, again, by our upper year students in partnership with a faculty member that teaches in your admission category. And you can watch those asynchronously at your own pace. There's little quizzes if you like to do those and test your knowledge. And then those actually stay available to you all throughout your first year, so you can come back to them. We see a lot of folks revisit them during first midterms and fall as well. So everything is kind of created to be pick up at your own pace and do what you think works best for you to be able to navigate this summer as you're preparing to arrive in September. Hopefully that's a helpful snapshot of the program.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, it's really helpful. Yeah, what a great opportunity to just kind of practice those skills. And also like the fact that there's opportunities to meet with students and whatnot. So excellent. Let's go to Paola again. So I think we've touched on like how often do students come see you? What would an appointment be like? I guess, is there like, we did talk about that, but is there anything in addition that you, yeah, just describe like what an appointment might feel like to students?
So all our appointments at the Writing Center are individual. It's a one-on-one appointment. You may want to quote unquote shop around for an instructor that you feel that really matches your expectations or that you work really well with. Writing instructors are specialists in writing, but also in the pedagogy of writing, meaning in how is it that you learn to write. So it's also a space that is judgment-free. You know, like this is very obviously different from communicating with your course director. And it's a person with whom you can really discuss various aspects of like your anxieties about writing, questions about academic integrity, your workflow, and how is it that you're going to start to learn how to, what is the kind of like, what is the form of working towards your assignment that best suits you? That's something that we can't, once again, we don't assume that you may be the person that writes better 2 nights in advance of a paper, or you may need a lot of time to prepare a paper, or you may need a lot of brainstorming, or, like you need to kind of like begin to understand your own learning style. And in that sense, the Writing Center is a great resource for this. I would like to say, kind of like in relation to the Arrive Ready, is that one of the things that I've noticed from first-year students is that they don't necessarily know what they don't know because everything is new. So for example, something like being acquainted with Quarkus, which is the platform, the digital platform that it will be a part of all your classes at U of T. If you are becoming familiarized with this platform beforehand is going to be super useful. So there's a lot of things that, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, particularly in the first 2 months, because there's going to be a lot of learning that is not just about the things you need to read or the writing you need to do, but also kind of like, how is it that the course works? How is it that a tutorial works? How is it that the university works? And so the more things you can kind of like prepare for in advance, the better you'll feel once you begin classes in September. The Writing Center obviously will be a part of that. So I would encourage you to come even, on your first week of classes and meet with someone at the Writing Center and get a sense of what is over the space and the kinds of supports that you can receive there.
Brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, I think one thing that you talk about really well is that need to like the low anxiety, that is a judgment-free zone. I feel like really stressing that. I feel like when I talk to students, there is this resistance to ask for help, or there's shame around it. And I think the faster we can reframe that asking for help, the quicker we can get to our solutions, the quicker we can ask for help, the quicker we can just get what we need, really. Yeah. And like you said, like we all are starting in a new environment and we're all learning together. So thank you so much, Paola.
If I could add something to that, like
Please.
It is absolutely normal to feel overwhelmed. You are beginning university and it is not going to be like high school. The amount and the difficulty of the reading, the fact that you'll have periods in the semester in which you have 3 assignments due on the same week. There's a lot of workload expectations, and it is absolutely normal to feel overwhelmed or to feel a little bit like in crisis. And it's absolutely important that you don't hide in your own like anxiety, but that you reach out. The institution is absolutely prepared to assist you, and none of the things that will happen to you in the first year are new to us. So everybody here is this is completely normal. First year is a little bit challenging, and just know that you can ask for support in various aspects of your life as a first-year student.
Perfect, Paola. I have some things I wanted to touch on. You're hitting all of them. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's exactly correct. It's completely normal. And it's going to get easier too. Once you figure it out, second, third, or fourth year, even though there's more reading and higher expectations,
when you learn the system itself, it becomes easier. So thank you. So Alexa, can you explain how often students might come see you, and what would an appointment be like in within accessibility services?
Yeah, so I guess I could answer that two ways. So when students are assigned to work with me, we can have appointments to meet virtually, over the phone, or in person on location. My office is actually located in the Woodsworth Residence building. And so I usually meet with students who are just registering, like we're doing the intake, or they're a returning student. So maybe they already have their accommodation plan and they might need support with understanding how to use an accommodation. We also have conversations with students about how to request an accommodation, how to have those conversations with their professors. Because I think that's another big step to university, is that you are the driver of your accommodations. And in high school, if you've had an IEP or specific accommodations, your teachers, parents, or support person has kind of had those conversations. In university system, you are kind of responsible to request your accommodations when you need to use them, and there may be specific ways to request, or so for example, extensions on an assignment, or if you need accommodations for tests and exams. You're kind of starting that process. So it can be kind of daunting or intimidating, and that's okay. Like we can talk through all of that and make sure that you feel supported. So I have lots of conversations with students about that, or if they're having flare-ups, if their symptoms are flaring up and they can't request an accommodation or need support with further individualized accommodation. Essentially, we want to know if something is not going well, or you feel like you might need more support with your accommodation plan. If something has changed over time, maybe there's a new diagnosis, new medications, things that are going on where you might need a bit more support from our office. So lots of things come up in our meetings, and we are always happy to assist with resource navigation at the university too, because U of T is so big and there are many other services and supports that students can tap into, and they might not know that they exist or how to initiate support. So we do a lot of that as well. And then what I would say for the central accessibility office, we have a team of intake and administrative staff who will assist with questions around registration and documentation. They'll meet with students to even talk through, like, what happens if they don't have a family doctor? What if they're an international student coming to Toronto and like they've never been had a diagnosis, or conversations around disability or accommodation might not be as prevalent, and they're maybe questioning if they have a disability or are experiencing symptoms that could warrant some accommodation. So our central accessibility team is always happy to have a phone call or meet in person just to talk through all of that and see where we can provide support with accessing supports. And we can't really do direct referrals to healthcare providers in the community, but we can give a place to start to find somebody so that you can have access to a healthcare provider in Toronto. And what I'll say too, I just thought of this, it doesn't really relate to the question, but I just thought that I'd say some students might not have to register with our office, but it's very common to acquire like concussion, head injury, a broken limb, like a broken hand before exams. Like our office also handles more temporary accommodations as well. So just keep our office in mind if something happens and you do find yourself needing some support with academic accommodation. We can also assist with all of that.
Thank you, Alexa. I think one thing that comes up in my conversations with students is some students may realize that they may, like maybe in second or third year, that they would benefit from accessibility services. And one thing I really do appreciate is that your accessibility service is open to just having a consultation, just discussing whether or not, like, students are free to just have that conversation as well. So thank you.
Definitely. Yeah, I always say it's never too late to register.
Oh.
Some students say, I wish I came earlier. It's okay. We'll meet you where you're at.
Yeah. I think that's the other thing. I think, okay, so anyone who's part of this call and whoever's watching, like you're already ahead of the game. It's surprising. It just speaks to how big the university is, because it is surprising how many students may not know about the Writing Center or about Cindy Smith Commons or about accessibility services. And there's so many more as well. So just being part of this conversation, but also sharing this information if a friend needs it, and just checking in again with any of us. We're more than happy to share these resources. I'm actually going to I know I've given everyone one more question, but I'm actually going to transition to our Q&A session, because we are getting, I think we're at 4:10, and so we're getting to the end. But before we do that, I actually want to just wrap up some things, because so before we get to our Q&A session, let me just say thank you to Alexa, Paola, and Manjot. I hope some key takeaways. There's a lot of information, so if you need to rewatch the recording, please go ahead and do so. We're going to include some links to some of the resources that our guests have shared in the description below. But I just really hope that some key takeaways. If you have questions, ask them. Behind all the emails that might be sent to you, behind all these workshops, once you make a connection, I hope you, even being part of this workshop, I hope you get the vibe that there's a lot of really kind people who really do care and want to help you. And that can be in whatever way that you want. Like it can be, again, maybe just through an email, but it could be meeting with us. It can be a one-time meet, or it can be something where we meet throughout. It's just knowing that you can ask for help, and that it's a good thing to ask for help, because again, the sooner you ask for help, the sooner we can go over the options, we can get what you need, because school goes fast. There's a lot of it'll go fast, and it's good to just know who you can go to for help. And lastly, the university is big, and it can feel like maybe you're just one student out of like so many, but even so, like you're going to have opportunities to make that connection, either if it's with another student, with staff, with an accessibility advisor, academic advisor, whoever, through the Writing Center, through learning strategists. There are all kinds of options. Also, I want to highlight some academic dates. So right now we're in May. Now's a really good time to research programs. So the academic calendar, that's the QR code on the left. That's a really good place to start, just browsing through programs, seeing what you're interested in. June 1st is when Ontario students need to accept their admission, their letters, their offers. It's also a really good time to research courses and start building that timetable. But if you really, I hope you enjoyed today's session. For more opportunities to meet us at Woodsworth and students, we have some welcome events. So we have the in-person welcome event on Saturday, June 14th, and the virtual one on Wednesday, June 25th. These are opportunities, again, we're going to talk about the different services. You're going to have opportunities to meet us. You're going to also have opportunities to hear from upper year students, and just opportunities to meet other students. It's a great way to meet someone even before September. And if you're in the general Toronto area, if you're able to make in person, it's a great way to just get a sense of what it's like to be on campus as well. July is when we enroll in courses. August is when fees are due. It's also when orientation takes place, and before you know it, we'll be in September, okay? Lastly, this is our next workshop. So for anyone who's here, don't worry, we still have 15 minutes of question and answers. But for anyone else that's watching, I hope you come and join us next for our workshop 2. It's going to be talking about designing your degree and talking about first year opportunities. And be sure to, so that's Wednesday, June 5th at 9 a.m. The QR code has a full list of workshops. And again, be sure to check out Arrive Ready. They have sessions as well. Kind of like you're going to be able to go to multiple different sessions. Whichever one you go to, that's great. It's just making sure that you have the information you need. Okay. So with that, to those who are watching, I'm going to stop the recording. For everyone else, stay tuned. We're going to transition to Q&A, but thank you all who are watching. Thanks for joining. Okay.